Hello, anybody's out there? Welcome. We're about to get started, but I just want to make sure first that everyone can hear me. So if you have the capability, if you could just pop in the chat, whether you can, or in the Q&A, if you can hear and see me, that would be fantastic. Can anybody hear and see me? Just want to make sure before we continue. Okay, it's 1 o'clock and I think we're ready to start. Does anyone have any questions right off the top? Can you hear and see me? I'm a little worried because no one's answering my question. Just want to make sure that everybody can hear and see me. If someone could just pop in the chat and let me know. Oh, terrific. Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much, Natasha. I appreciate it. Okay. So today we're going to talk about the programs that OzTrack is here to help you with applications to attend programs in Australia in occupational therapy and chiropractic. So let's just get right into it now. First, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, there we go. And share. Okay, I think we're good. All right, so we'll start this presentation from the beginning. Okay, so welcome to our presentation. So today we'll be talking about occupational therapy and chiro in Australia and all the things that you need to know about the program. So the things that we'll cover in today's webinar will be just some general information about OzTrack, who we are and how we help, some details about the OT and chiro degrees and how to get admission, and then what it means for graduates who want to come back to Canada to practice as a professional OT or as a chiro. So this is me, Lara Klimko. I'm your student-facing admissions officer. So I'm here to help you with your questions. So I'll be the person that you are interfacing with in the emails, and you'll be talking to me on the phone and so forth. And then Leanna is my partner in crime. She is the university-facing admissions officer. So she'll be there to help liaise with the universities on your behalf and to help you with your questions and your applications. Okay, so next is how OzTrack helps. So what is OzTrack? OzTrack is an international education agent. And what that means is that our purpose is to help facilitate your applications to the Australian universities. So we're here to let you know exactly which documents you require, keep track of the documents you've submitted, and let you know which ones you need. We collect everything together and submit them to the universities on your behalf. We make sure to go through your transcripts at the beginning to make sure that you're eligible for the programs that you want to apply to, and to try to help you determine which programs you'd be best suited for. We're here to certify your transcripts, which is a requirement of universities in Australia. So we only need to order one set of documents and we can blast them out to all the universities that you would like to apply to. And then as assessments and outcomes start rolling in, we're there to advocate for you. So if we see something that doesn't look quite right in an outcome, we have the opportunity to get in touch with the universities and ask questions and make sure that outcomes are as fair and as favorable as possible. And then once you've decided to accept an offer, now the hard part begins, the fun part begins, where you'll be starting to get your visa applications, your compliance requirements, and your travel arrangements, look for accommodations and all the things that you need to settle in once you arrive overseas. Okay, so we have a motto, which is student first. So whatever it is, our number one goal is to support our students absolutely from the beginning of the application process, from inquiries all the way up to setting boots on the ground in Australia. We're the official representative of 12 world-class Australian universities and one in New Zealand. We have program-specific applications officers. So my job as the rehab sciences admissions officer is to help students who are specifically looking at rehab sciences. So physiotherapy, occupational therapy, chiro, audiology, speech pathology, et cetera, and then we have other teams that are dedicated to medicine and other teams that are dedicated to dentistry. So that's our full focus. So we know all the details, all the nitty gritty, all the ins and outs. So we're best experts in our field, so to speak. We have more than 1,000 Austrec students who have started study in the last 2 years in Australia, which is pretty amazing. Okay, so what does the application process look like? So the very first thing is to reach out to us, which you've done now with this by registering for this webinar to find out all the information that you can about the program in which you are most interested. You can ask us questions. We can give you all kinds of details about things like admissions requirements, cost of tuition, all the things that you need to get started. The next thing is to go through a transcript. You can send me an unofficial transcript if you like, and I'd be happy to take a look and give you my best judgment as an assessment of where I think you'd have the best chance of success for your program. And then the next thing is to start the application process. So the next thing that you would do is to open an application through Austrec. This is just like an in-house account information application, essentially. So we'll get all of your background information, your contact information, your education background, and you can tell us which programs you're most interested in. And then we can start the process of collecting your documents. And once we've got all the documents collected, we complete the application by submitting it to the university on your behalf. Now, this is the hardest part, I think, of the whole thing. Often, because we make sure that students are applying for programs in which they'd have the best success, we often have a situation where the student has many offers to choose from, and sometimes it's hard to make that decision. So we're here to help you out and to kind of narrow down your focus, narrow down your preferences, and to help you accept the offer that you really want most. Next is the pre-departure. This is the fun part. So we're here to help you get organized with all the documents that you'll need to show the universities to make sure that you're compliant with clinical practice placements. So things like vaccinations and police checks, first aid certification, that sort of thing. We have the resources to help you navigate that process. We have resources to help you start your visa application as well. And we have resources to help you find accommodations in the city in which your university will be located. Then it's time to go. It's time to go to Australia and start your educational adventure. Okay, so a lot of students ask, when is the best time to start an application? So in the rehab sciences space, we have programs that start pretty much all throughout the year. So in OT, we have 2 programs starting in semester 1, which is in February. Okay, think about that for a second. In Australia, the seasons are flipped, which means that rather than semester 1 starting in fall like we're used to, semester 1 will actually start at the beginning of the calendar year for us, which to us seems like winter, but is actually kind of the end of summer in Australia. So it does make sense. And then we have 3 other programs, 2 of which start in July. And then Bond University has actually 2 intakes per year, which is pretty cool. One in May and one in September. So we've got programs starting February, May, July, and September. So the best time to start an application would be when you're in your undergraduate degree, your final year, you've completed your penultimate semester. So in most cases, that would be your fall semester, and you've enrolled in your final semester. So in most cases, that would be in the winter semester. The reason for that is that we can submit your applications even while you're still studying in your final semester. The Australian universities can start their assessments using your penultimate semester, your next to last semester's results. And then if everything goes well, you may even get a conditional offer before you've even graduated from your undergraduate degree, which is pretty cool. So the best thing to do then is to order an interim transcript once your next to last semester's results are in, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so now let's look at the programs and what the admissions requirements are for each. So we have 5 programs in the occupational therapy discipline. These are all Master of Occupational Therapy programs, and they're all 2 years long. So Bond, as I said, starts 2 times a year in May and in September. Flinders and Sydney both start in February, which is semester 1. Monash and Queensland start in July. So let's take a look at the kinds of prerequisites and GPA you'll need for admission. So we'll need, in most cases, in the case of Sydney, there are no prerequisites at all. And other universities such as Flinders will have the most prereqs. So 1 semester of human anatomy, 1 semester of human phys, either 1 semester of psychology or sociology. At Bond, it's 2 semesters of psych, soc, or human behavior. So we need two semesters of that, which most students applying for OT will have that covered in spades. A semester of research methods or statistics. And Flinders is a little different. So they have an extra prereq that no other university does, and that's a semester of communications. So not everybody from Canada would have a communications credit on their degree. So I've had success meeting this prerequisite with a resume. Students who have undertaken any kind of professional experience or volunteer experience doing instruction, training, teaching someone how to do something, communicating, doing presentations, that kind of thing, that is often enough to meet that prerequisite. So that's a kind of a backup plan if you don't have a communications on your transcript and you really want to go to Flinders, which is a great school. So the minimum GPA to apply, so to be eligible just for an application, is between 65 and 70%, or around 2.7 out of a 4.0 scale. Having said that, students who are competitive and are more likely to get offers will be in the 70 to 75% range. 75 and up and you're gold. There are no admissions tests required, no MCAT, no DAT, no OAT, no CARMS, nothing like that. It's just pretty much based on GPA, completion of prerequisites where eligible or where applicable. And in the case of Bond, they would like to see a personal statement, which is a nice thing, and real short, like a paragraph, 2 at most. And they'll also look at a resume, which is nice to kind of flesh you out as an individual so they know a little bit more about you. Okay, so let's talk about chiropractic. So it's important to note that the chiropractic discipline at the University of Macquarie is a very scientific and anatomy-based course. Students who have no health sciences in their undergraduate, or who do not have any background knowledge of human anatomy or human phys, then the undergraduate pathway is the best option for you. So you'll start straight from the beginning with a Bachelor of Chiropractic Science. This is a 2-year degree, and then it kind of naturally just merges into the Master of Chiropractic afterwards. You don't have to reapply, in other words. So the Bachelor of Chiropractic Science is 2 years of coursework. Master of Chiropractic is another 2 years of coursework, plus an entire year of clinical placement, which is pretty amazing. If you have an undergraduate degree in a health sciences related discipline, so what are we talking about? Like psychology would work. As long as you have at least a semester of human anatomy and a semester of human physiology, then you are eligible to apply to the Master of Chiropractic program, which is 2 years of coursework plus that 1 year of clinical placement. Both of these programs, either combined or the master on its own, will give you sufficient hours to be able to come back to Canada to apply for licensure as a professional chiro in your province. Okay, so we'll talk a little more about admissions requirements for the master. 3 years of undergraduate degree in health or medical science, as I said, substantial studies in human anatomy. So they really want to see in just about every discipline of rehab sciences in Australia, significant musculoskeletal anatomy. And human physiology, so systems physiology. And the minimum GPA for consideration is, again, 60 to 70%, and then 70 and up will get you an offer. Bachelor of Chiropractic. So there are some different admissions requirements for the bachelor. So grade 12, English, math, chemistry, biology, physics recommended. So it's as long as you've got English and some science, especially bio, you'll be in good shape. Minimum GPA is 75% for admission. And then the marks kind of change a little bit depending on which province you're from. So there are some specifics about, for example, in Ontario, they'll take the calculated average of your 6 best grade 12 subjects, which is pretty much all of them, including English, and subjects must be designated with a U, M, or a Z. So that's just an example of exactly what they're looking for at Macquarie for admission. Okay, so a lot of students ask me, why study for chiropractic in Australia anyway, when there's a perfectly good chiropractic school here in Canada? Well, that's true, but not everybody can get into the chiropractic school in Canada, but there's still advantages to studying in Australia. They're actually not that different in terms of cost. So at CMCC, you'll do 4 years in your degree rather than, as opposed to the 3-year degree if you're doing the direct entry to the master program. And it's a little bit more expensive to study with international tuition fees, but you'll be in Australia, which, come on, is amazing. There's 100% graduate employment from Macquarie within 6 months after grad, and it's 75% from CMCC, so interesting. Plus, the student-teacher ratio at Macquarie is more favorable than it is at CMCC, so I'm just saying. Okay, so what about coming home to practice? This is an important part of it because you don't want to go overseas for 3-4 years and then find out how do I come back to Canada? But we've got you covered. We've got the resources for you. These programs are all internationally recognized from universities that are quite highly ranked in the university ranking data. So yeah, take a look at the QS and the World Education Index, and take a look at how the Australian universities rate, and they're up there for sure. The clinical coursework hours required to practice either in OT or in Chiro will vary by province. So my best recommendation for everybody who's even starting to think about this is to first get in touch with your provincial regulatory boards and find out exactly what details are required for licensure when you come home to Canada. You want to make sure that you're completely prepared and know exactly what to expect and what to deliver once you've completed your degree. So you'll select the necessary electives, track your hours in the program. Oh, and I've gone too far here. Ooh, come back. The provincial regulatory board, you can contact them directly as well, and they can help you. And of course, we're here to help you with the steps and to help you navigate and know exactly what to look for. Okay, so the steps to coming back to Canada in the OT is first to apply to ACOTRO, which is the regulatory board and for all of Canada. So the first thing that they'll do is make sure that you have, you'll go through a credentialing process where they're going to make sure that your education in Australia is significantly equivalent to the Canadian one, and you'll be fine there. The requirements are quite similar. We have similar values and educational benchmarks, so you'll find that part will be fine. Plus, you'll need at least 1,000 supervised clinical hours, which each program is prepared to offer you. So you'll go through the credential review and the assessment. You'll do a jurisprudence admissions test and then a competency assessment, so essentially like an exam. And then step 2 is to write the Canadian Association of Occupational Therapies certification exam, and then you'll register with the province in which you wish to work and live, and complete the licensure process through your province. Chiropractic is pretty similar. So the first thing that you'll do is complete 3 exams. They may assess your education, your overseas education, to ensure that you have adequate, again, met certain educational benchmarks. They may even find that you can skip some of these exams, which is pretty cool. So you'll complete all 3 components of the exams, and then you will take your certificate, which you get once you've passed your exams, to the province, again, the provincial regulatory board, and then they will certify you as a professional chiropractor. So again, get in touch with your provincial regulatory boards as a first step to know exactly what you need to come home. Of course, a lot of students don't come home. they like to stay in Australia, which is amazing. Okay, so actually we're going to skip over this questions one real quick, and then we'll do the Q&A right after. So, oh, jokes. Okay, so we asked you a joke in the original email when you were invited to register. So what do you call 2 chiropractors who have got each other's backs? I love this one. Vertebros. Loving it. So tight. Okay, now what did the OT say to the gingerbread man with the sore arm? Oh. Have you tried icing it? Dun, 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 dun. Fantastic. Love it. Okay, so we have all of our contact information here on this slide. So rehabsci@oztrack.com, or you can just email me directly, and it's just my first name, Lara, Lara, @oztrack.com, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. You can give us a call. All of our contact information is, of course, listed on our website, which is oztrack.com, oztrekk.com. Okay, and thank you very much. And here we are. And now I will stop sharing my screen. Oops. Here we go. Oh, make this bigger. Oh, and I made it smaller. Oh boy. There we go. Okay. Stop share. And there we are. Great. Okay. So now I am here to answer your questions. If anyone has any questions about admissions requirements, where the universities are located, anything like that. I did receive some questions from students earlier, so I'll cover those real quick. So one of the questions was, would you be able to take the classes online, or do you have to be in person? So now that the pandemic is over-ish, borders are open, students are able to attend classes on campus. So that is what is now expected and required. So all students must be on campus. There are no online versions of these courses anymore, which is a good thing, because you do want to be able to have like hands-on manipulation, especially in the chiro space. That's really important. So online is off the table. In person is the way it's going to be. Another person asked, what's the average number of international applicants and acceptance rates for the universities? That's almost impossible to answer because we're, of course, just one agency in one country, and there are many different agencies and students applying from around the world. So we really don't have access to that data, so we can't really say. I can say that, of course, we only submit applications for students that we know are eligible and competitive. So our in-house acceptance rates are very good. But as for the entire world and all the programs, it's very hard to say. But the quality of the education I can attest to, and that is very good. We consistently get very good results and reviews from students who study these programs overseas. So those, I think, are good. Does anyone else have any questions? I'm more than happy to answer. I can answer the questions now, or if you'd prefer just to email me directly, I can do that too, or you can give me a shout, you can give me a call. You can call me on the phone anytime, or you can book a call and we can pre-arrange a meeting. We can also Zoom or Teams if you prefer to do that as well. Okay, I don't see any questions. So I'll assume that I've covered just about everything, and that if you have any further questions, I hope that you'll reach out to me directly. Okay, thank you so much. I had a great time, and I love talking about this stuff. And so please do feel free to reach out to me. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.